Hey guys, it's that one Sam dude. Today I'm going to be reviewing Preacher Season 1. As I said in The Little Prince, this show is about a comic adaptation led by Seth Rogen. The comic is after the same name, Preacher. It talks about a preacher with his friends on a journey to find God. If I told you any more, it'd be a spoiler, so because Season 1 is a prequel. Season 1 stars Dominic Cooper as Jesse Custer, Joseph Gilligan as Cassidy, an Irish vampire, Ruth Negan as Tulip O'Hare, his ex-lover, and Ian Coletti as Arseface. All these characters come together when Jesse Custer gets this power called Genesis, which is the spawn of angels and demons, and it basically makes anyone do whatever he says quite literally. And it's about Jesse finding what he's supposed to do with life, and on his journey to find out what God wants from him in his life. It's a complicated show with tons of stuff about him finding out what Genesis is, angels trying to take Genesis back. There's a lot of weird and strange stuff. The show is very, very strange and funny. It's a comedy. Since it takes place in Texas, it makes fun of a lot of rednecks and it makes fun of a lot of Christian things. This show is very, very funny. It's supposed to be kind of an action with comedy. It's a mix of both, and it has a lot of touches that you can see where if you've seen other comedies that Seth Rogen's done, you can see that he had a lot to do with the series. And Dominic Cooper is absolutely amazing. Jesse Custer, he plays a perfect adaptation of the preacher from the comics, and he looks pretty accurate to him. This show, I'll get to spoilers in a few, but this show is very, very good. In my non-spoiler section, I'm just talking about episode 1 and 2. The first two episodes are very strong, very strange. It starts off with like kind of this 80s video-ish thing, and this alien exploding this guy in Africa. It always has strong openings with just the title Preacher, and you can see through it. I always felt like the openings were the best part of the show. And that's not to offend any other part of the show. The theme song is great. The transitions to the opening is just amazing. As soon as you start the show, you want to watch more and more and more. But about mid-season, it kind of slows down. But then near the end, since it's kind of catching up with the comic at the end of the season, you are where the comic starts. The show gets better near the end, but in the middle, it kind of falls. And so, since I can't talk too much about this show without spoiling it, spoilers. This is anything past kind of episode 2. A lot of the violence is well done. I'm not going to offend anything about the violence or the comedy. The humor is a lot of jokes land, actually, surprisingly. So this is one of the better AMC shows. Compared to The Walking Dead, which is a very, very slow grind because that's 24 episodes and this was only 10. This show is much, much better than The Walking Dead. If you are a fan of The Walking Dead like me, I think you'll still like this show, though. Even though it's kind of more of a comedy, more than action, and has nothing to do with kind of zombies. The action's done more tastefully, the gore's done better, and I feel like the acting overall is just less forced. And since they don't have to do 24 episodes a season, they really kind of have fun with the time they do have in the season. I never feel like the plot is rushed, and overall, the plot can get slow at points, but it's never as slow as other 24 episode seasons. You don't have any filler episodes in this 10 episode season, and everything is kind of a mystery up till the end. There's a lot of quick scenes about this older guy in a western town. They don't really add up till the end till you find out, dun dun dun. If you read the comics, you probably already know. He's a guy from hell who's sent out to get Jesse Custer. On top of these angels who hired him, they are also going to get Jesse Custer. And Arseface is sent to hell. Ian Coletti plays a perfect Arseface. It's hilarious how they put subtitles under him, but not Cassidy, even though Cassidy plays the Irish vampire. He is much harder to understand than Arseface, and his character is supposed to be speaking Irish gibberish, is basically what he's trying to do. So it makes sense why you can't understand Cassidy. So I have no complaints there. Overall, I'd give this season like an 8.5 out of 10. It's in between an 8 and a 9. Now I'm going to get really, really into spoilers, so if you haven't finished the season, stop right now. At the end, the 10th episode is like a perfect 10. There are very few shows that have episodes that are this great. Ozymandias is an example of an episode that is this great. It just does everything the show has built up to perfectly. It gives you all the payoff you wanted. You find out that God is missing in this, and they do that perfectly. I already knew from the comic that God was missing, but the fact that they have an angel fake it on a FaceTime, perfect. It explains how his whole community died, as you found in the comics. It's from a pile of manure explosion, which is absolutely hilarious. And you find out the demons and angels, and then the super angel gets free. And at the end of it, they just go on a mission to God, and it's just perfect. You get the kissing scene you wanted from Tulip in a hilarious way. It's all done very, very tastefully. You find out who Carlos is, what Carlos did to them, and they get their revenge on Carlos. It is all done very too perfectly. There's a countdown timer to when God's gonna come. I thought that was hilarious. You get to see scenery that you didn't see in any previous episode. They did a lot of shots not at like the main sets that you've been seeing all throughout the show, like a lot of TV shows do. They have these sets and they use them again and again. I felt Preacher was better about getting away from these, especially in the final episode. But overall, the show was really good. The only thing I have to complain about is sometimes the dialogue, the audio mixing is weird, and you can't hear certain characters when you're supposed to. Near the middle of the show, I felt it got a little boring. Not to say that there wasn't any action, but there wasn't anything interesting going on. He was just toying with Genesis, and the angels didn't want him to toy, and there was too much back and forth. I felt like there was an episode or two out of there that you could have cut out, that nothing interesting happened. The fact that the one girl that helps him out a lot ends up dating the mayor, who was a total sleaze guy. I don't understand that. That didn't really make sense. And then she fed him to Cassidy. That also kind of didn't make sense, why Cassidy couldn't heal without human blood. They never really explained that. And they never explained what happened to her since the whole town exploded. I'm going to presume she's found dead, but to spend so much time on this character and not get any payoff is really disappointing. Some of the more confusing scenes were kind of explained with the town exploding. The reactor scenes just made a lot more sense with the air coming out. I originally thought that was air from like hell, but no, that was just air from the manure thing getting overheated. That made a lot more sense, and all the western scenes finally added up, which that was a great payoff. I was very confused. I thought it might be hell, but I didn't know till the very end that was hell. The payoff on that was just too perfect. The acting in this was very, very great. It just loses that 0.5 in my mind because it does what a lot of TV shows do, and they just buy time. For Game of Thrones, even though it can have some slow episodes, I feel like shows like primetime shows like Game of Thrones and whatnot don't have a lot of filler episodes. But even recent shows that AMC's done, like Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, I felt those didn't have filler. Or a show like Mr. Robot, I feel it doesn't have any filler. And this had an episode or two of filler episodes that weren't necessarily needed, but were there for character development. But the first couple episodes are introduction characters to the episode, and the end, like 4 episodes, are kind of just build up to the end. So those are great, but it's the like 2 episodes in between there that are just slow and pointless. It didn't make sense. And then Arseface being in his head, I believe in the comic, that doesn't happen. Arseface isn't in his head. I'm not going to spoil too much what happens about him in the comic, because that would be spoilers for season 2. But I am very interested. The show did get picked up for a second season, and rightfully so. I believe it had the audience, and it was doing well critically. So this show was definitely a great show. 8.5 out of 10. There are very few shows that will get a higher rating than that. I can't wait for season 2, however, because I feel as if season 2 will be better because it is actually following the comic book. The comic book moves much faster, and I feel that this was a great step in the right direction. And for them doing their own original story, this was definitely, if you take it with that in mind, it is better than an 8.5 because they aren't going off. They're not adapting the comic. They are straight up creating their own original kind of prequel to it all, which is great. And if you love the comic, you'll definitely love this season because it's more content than that's in the comic and more content of the characters. And kind of you get to see the characters all meeting for the first time, whereas in the comic they're kind of already established. This season, though, I feel like they should have just started where the comic did. This season wasn't really needed, but I guess to introduce everyone else who hasn't read the comic to the characters, it was kind of needed. But it was a great season. I definitely would probably watch it again before season 2 because it isn't that long and it is really, really fun to watch. There are a lot of fun moments, a lot of funny moments. You're going to be laughing, crying a little bit maybe because there are some sad moments. This show overall is just kind of a roller coaster of emotion, and it's really well done, and I can't wait to see what they do with season 2. But that's all for today. I'll see you guys probably in a day or two. I'll either be reviewing Sausage Party or this one other movie, and I'll be trying to finish The Get Down and do a review on that. And I'm trying to finish Danganronpa. Most of you guys won't know what that is. That's a smaller video game. I'll be also doing a review on that. That should all be coming near the end of this or the first couple weeks of school. But bye. I'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Like, subscribe, and share.